Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien here on the activities room of the Springs of Park Hill on Saturday, September 11th, 2021. Yeah, 9/11. And here's a commentary on 9/11, unlike what you guys are going to see today. Most of you have probably had it from yesterday's All TV, especially the History Channel. 9/11. And today, nothing but 9/11. And nobody gets the picture of 9/11. So this commentary is to the victims of 9/11, casualties of bad thinking. And my heart goes out to those 3,000 victims of 9/11. Because the blood is on the hands of everybody. Americans, the terrorists that did this, the United States government, and previous administrations other than George W. Bush, who set this in motion, especially the Clinton administration. Yeah. And the reason I say it's a victim of bad thinking is, and we go back to September 2nd, 1941. If you read my video, 1945, September 2nd, 1945. Read my video on that one, and you'll understand why I say it's a victim of bad thinking. Once World War II's paperwork was wrapped up by General Douglas MacArthur, the United States took a weird way of thinking in the world. I don't know why they took it. They went to the other extreme. It's like going from the left extreme of isolationist between the two world wars to the right extreme of we want to intervene in everything we can and put our hands in everything we can, and that's cost you big time. Almost cost you your society right now, hasn't it? Look at the way you're thinking about the virus. That's the same stupid way of thinking that cost you 9/11. And here's the problem. Let's go back to November 26th, 1941. Why November 26th, 1941? That's the day they launched the Armada to Pearl Harbor. And everybody blames General or Admiral Yamamoto. Let's kill him. And you did kill him in 1943. Now, mind you, even if he was in America and doing it for the American side, you would claim he's a patriot. I do. Because he warned his own people about what was to happen. And his own general staff needed him because of his abilities, but hated to work with him. Before the launch on November 26, 1941, General Yamamoto, and this is in the records of the Japanese government, told the general staff, if you insist on doing this, I'll do my best to get it done. But here's a warning. You got 6 months. Because you'll be waking a sleeping giant. And if they get their might behind, their people behind their might, and industrial might, and national might, we have no recourse but to surrender in the long term as a defeated nation. Okay? And this is Admiral Yamamoto before Pearl Harbor, telling the people what was going to happen. His main goal at Pearl Harbor was to eliminate the aircraft carriers. He could care less about the battleships. The general staff, on the other hand, wanted to eliminate the battleships. Therefore, they paid no attention to the aircraft carriers. Otherwise, they would have ceased the operations knowing that the aircraft carriers were at sea. 6 months later, they paid their price because those same aircraft carriers that they missed did a disastrous job on their forces both at Coral Sea and Midway. 3 aircraft carriers against a whole bunch of Japanese aircraft carriers, because the Americans used the aircraft carriers as a war machine. Japan used the aircraft carriers to carry the war, not as an actual instrument of war. They used it because they say it carries their planes. The United States used their aircraft carriers and have since as an instrument of power. That's something that the Japanese never understood. And here is the way of thinking, Americans. When the war ended, and you had all these Arab states that were under the protection of France and Britain because of the League of Nations mandates, and you had to split them up. You had Transjordan, you had Iraq, Iran, under the Shahs, the Reza Pahlavi family. Yeah. Okay. And Saudi Arabia under the bin Saud, Saudi Arabia. Yeah. With the Wahhabi way of looking at things. And you had the Shiites in Iran with a certain young guy named Ayatollah Khomeini. Yeah. Although he wasn't an Ayatollah Basahola yet, but he was there. And all these came with the American way, and all you guys were thinking was oil. We need oil. So you continued President Roosevelt's friendly relations with Saudi Arabia, even though their way of thinking was different. And Egypt was different under the kings that were ruled by Britain from 1922 until they got expelled in 1952 by Gamal Abdel Nasser. Yeah. And you kept on, between the 60s and 80s, you kept on bringing Arabs in here for educational purposes, so you said. And here's the problem. And a good example would be Mustafa, who was one of the architects that flew a plane into the Trade Center. He came to be an engineer in North Carolina. And all he saw was a decadent society that was going to ruin his. Okay? He wasn't there for educational purposes. He was there because he wanted to see what the other side was. And he saw what the other side was. And this is the problem. You guys admit people for educational purposes here that don't understand your society, that really don't belong here. Like you don't belong there. Okay? Because you don't understand their society either. So therefore, an American in Afghanistan is like saying, what do you got? A peppermint and salt? Yuck. Yeah. See what I mean? Now, Yamamoto, he went first to the British and then he toured America. He got an education, a military education, by the British and somewhat Americans. But he not only got an education, he went over there and saw the United States as it really is. He knew that their civilization was different than the Japanese, but he also knew that they had a way of doing things that the Japanese could eventually mimic and surpass. But it would take them a long time because they would have to change their way of thinking. And what was funny with Yamamoto is that's the way that happened under Douglas MacArthur when he became the Emperor of Japan from 1945 to 51. And today, Japan is Japan. But it gave you guys fits during the 70s, 80s, and 90s, didn't it? Oh, did it give you guys fits? It destroyed your auto industry. And now it's having fits because the country behind it, South Korea, is doing the same thing to it. Now, the South Koreans took a longer time. It took them decades. Between 1953, when the armistice was signed in South Korea. Yeah. But they decided to take the Americans at their own game. Not fight them ideologically or religiously. And that's what's happened in 9/11. You brought kids here like Mustafa and other kids over there, Hatta, and Mustafa Hatta, and all the other guys. And especially Hatta. He saw what he called decadent society. I mean, can you imagine you go to a 1980s college, and what do you have? Guys groping girls. And that happened. You can't deny it, Americans. You guys knew it. I was here in the 1980s, and I saw it. And that's where I come from. We don't do that. Okay? You have to know the other person and have respect for the other person. That's something you Americans have forgotten. Respect for the other side. Whether you hate them or you love them. You forgot about the respect. And 3,000 of you had to pay the price for it on September 11, 2001. Because of your way of thinking. And Hatta's way of thinking was as bad as yours. We got to eliminate this at all costs. We can't have this kind of thing in our territory. And me and you, that you are already on the heavily ground of Muslims. Saudi Arabia. And very close to Mecca. Oh, yeah. And they were probably saying to the Saudis, and this is why Iran hates the Saudis, because they allowed the Americans to build bases in there. Oh, we got to protect the oil against Saddam Hussein. Really? It's cost you dead people for the last 70 years, including 3,000 at the World Trade Center. That shouldn't have happened at all. And because of various mistakes by the Arabs, your side, your government, and especially the CIA and the FBI with their little stupid war that they had on, you're infringing my turf, and this is my territory. Yeah, really? Aren't they Americans? Shouldn't they say, well, this guy crossed into your territory, it's your business now. He's there. We warned you. Instead of sitting back and saying, let them find it on their own. And the FBI, if they try to find it on their own, you know what happened, CIA? 9/11. Yeah. Anyway, this is your favorite alien saying, bad thinking cost 9/11 on all parts. And yes, you Americans, whether you're sitting in your chair watching 9/11, whether you're protesting 9/11, whether you're protesting the virus or whatever you are, you have blood in your hands from 9/11. Everybody has bloods in their hands. This is your favorite alien. Good day.